This is an interview with Rebecca Stern. She's director of Well Groomed, which is out on DVD and VOD starting tomorrow, July 21st. First off, I like to ask this to everybody. What is the first movie you remember seeing in theaters?
Oh man. I'm sure it was some cartoon like Toy Story or something like that, but I don't have it off the top of my head. Oh no.
That's okay.
I definitely remember standing in line for the Harry Potter movies for a long time.
Nice. Sweet. If you do remember, just say it later on. I saw that before you directed Well Groomed, you were producing quite a few documentaries. So how did you get started being a producer?
I moved to New York and I was looking for a job and I got a job as a director. And I had never even considered working in documentary film before. I studied basically English at school. I thought I'd work in publishing. And so when I fell into documentaries, I just kind of fell in love with it and started learning about it.
What was the first documentary you worked on?
The first documentary I worked on was Escape Fire, the fight to rescue American healthcare, which went to Sundance in 2012. But then right after that, I worked with the same director, Matt Heineman, on Cartel Land.
Mm-hmm. That one's a pretty famous one too, of course.
Yeah.
After you did a few documentaries, you jumped into directing. So did you have the idea of being a director and then find a topic, or did you find the topic and say, I need to direct this documentary?
Oh, I found the topic and thought that I needed to direct it. This is my first movie, Well Groomed. So I was like looking for a way to just learn more about making documentary films. I figured that if I made a documentary film, I'd be a better producer because I would like have known from like the start of it to the end of it how to make something. And I thought it was going to be really short. I thought Well Groomed was going to be 5 minutes about dog fashion in New York City, right? Like super simple, no travel, no big crews, no need to fundraise, like nothing like that. And then I discovered creative dog grooming and all of that just went straight out the window. And I worked on this film for like 5 years and now we're here.
I did read before that you worked on it for 4 or 5 years. So the documentary ends obviously with a competition, no spoilers, but what year was that competition, the Hershey one?
That was in 2017.
2017. Have you kept up with the winners or participants of the competition since then?
Yes, but no spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers about real life.
No, they're all doing great. They're all doing great.
They're all keeping up with it still? Yeah,
of course. Oh my gosh. A lot of them have become judges now because it's been like 2.5 years. And then businesses have grown and shrank and changed, and
it probably costs a lot less money for them to be a judge of this competition than to participate.
Oh, just because they're judging it doesn't mean they're not creative grooming.
This
is a full art form. They are obsessed.
So you found the topic of creative dog grooming when you went to just regular dog grooming, but then it found this other subculture of it?
So I was in New York really kind of following people who were making dog fashion, like dog vests and things like that, and there's a huge dog pageant that happens in New York, or used to, for Halloween, basically just like a Halloween dog show. It draws like over like thousands and thousands of people, and I think like 500 dog participants. And it's a blast. But I had started doing that, and then I was researching more about dog pageantry and learned about creative dog grooming, and that's how I went into the that's how I went into the dog grooming circuit. So there's creative dog grooming and then there's regular dog grooming, but both of them are kind of distinct competitions, but they happen simultaneously.
Do you think working on Cartel Land helped you for the potential cutthroat nature of dog grooming competitions?
That's a good question. I have not gotten that question before.
Fantastic.
Maybe, right? Like,
I mean, I'll be honest, watching the documentary, it seems like most of them are very friendly with each other. So I don't know if there's another level of cutthroat you didn't see.
No, they're super friendly. it's kind of one of the nicest parts about spending time.
But the competitors keep certain secrets of how they do their techniques so that they can, keep doing them right and win, right? Something like that.
They actually share their techniques often and regularly with each other. And it's more about like who is the best artist. Everyone knows if everyone knows how to sculpt, then the best sculptor wins. But in terms of, maybe Cartel Land helps with various stories. There's like a lot of stories that intertwine in Well Groomed. So I have to keep track of all of my characters simultaneously. But no, there's like, it's not lore, that's for sure.
If you were doing this documentary for so many years, I can't remember how many competitions are actually shown in the documentary. You're saying there's a whole lot of competitions and styles we just didn't get to see?
Oh, yeah. There's tons. When the world picks up again, you should go.
Oh, yeah. I'm in Texas right now. There's definitely bound to be something in Texas, I'm sure, for that. Probably Austin, of course. What are the main differences between this, which I'm now going to call the director's cut of Well Groomed, versus the one that was on HBO, in December?
So actually, when we needed to do the cut down for HBO, HBO was great. So they let me control the complete edit. So it's really just a condensed version of the film. But the director's cut has a few scenes that I think are really important and special that I wasn't able to include, but telling you more about them would kind of be spoilers.
I'm
not going to. Yeah.
But
it's 20 more minutes of like colorful, fluffy puppies. So why wouldn't you want to watch it?
Exactly. I've always wondered this about documentaries where they have usually a competition and a few people they talk about, whether it's spelling bee or there's a recent science fair one where they followed a few kids. Did you actually follow 10 people and then only kept 4 people in the final cut because they had the more interesting results, or was it always just these 4?
Oh man. So it was only after the last shoot that I was talking to another director and they were like, oh, you must have followed so many people for this. And I was like, what do you mean? And it just had never occurred to me that you could follow a ton of people and then just cut them out of the film. That was not something that I was aware was possible. So no, we were only following these 4 women and we got lucky that all of their story arcs kind of came together. But most other films don't do that. That's number one biggest learn of making this film is hedge bets and
it's probably a nicer way to do it because they all knew they got to be in it and not a disclaimer, oh yeah, you might not be in this at all and might have wasted all your time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're a good part of this. Yes, this matters.
Well, that's why I didn't know that other people did it. I was like, oh well, if you're gonna take people's time, then of course they're gonna end up being in the film. And then when I learned that that's how most other competition documentaries are made, I was like, oh, okay, well I guess it's just normal or standard. But no, we didn't go that way.
How did you choose these 4 women? I assume I'll let you tell.
I fell in love with them, really. They're all great storytellers. Those people who you ask a question and then immediately they just start telling you a story instead of necessarily just giving you a one-word answer or answering directly. All of these women do that. And as I said, it was my first film. So I was really looking for people who were great storytellers in their own right. So I did do casting at the beginning of the film, but I just fell in love with the way that each of them kind of told their own tale, pun fully intended.
Awesome. What are your plans now that this documentary is getting fully released, future documentaries you want to work on?
I think I'm going to sleep a little bit.
Yeah.
Sleeping sounds nice. It's definitely been a roller coaster ride. I'm working on a few things, but nothing to tell yet.
Okay. I did see The Rush which came out this year also. It was on the Atlantic. Is that the right one? Yeah, the Atlantic. Yeah. About South by Southwest, which again, I'm in Houston, Texas. It's a close film festival, and I assume it's one you've already said you've been to before, and I guess we're going to go to this year. Oh man. So were you going this year probably just as a lover and participant of film, so to speak, to support your friends?
Yeah, I was supposed to be a film mentor, which is just like amazing for me because like I had my first film there, not this year but last year, and so then like to go back and be able to talk to first time filmmakers and people who were like just starting their first film was something that I was really looking forward to. But obviously that didn't happen. So, and the film that you're mentioning, like I had all of these plans to go to South by, and it's a film festival that meant a lot to me. I mean, like I couldn't imagine Well Groomed and like everything that's happened in the last year and a half without South by Southwest. So I was really sad when it was canceled and so abruptly, and I figured that I would just keep my travel plans because this is like the week that like before coronavirus became a thing. You know, that one weekend where like the NBA got shut down and South by got canceled and then the entire world stopped for like 2 or 3 weeks after that.
Yeah, like mid-March or mid to late March.
Yeah, March 15th. And so I was on the plane going to Austin when the NBA shut down. And at that point, I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'll just make this film. So I wanted to make a short film that was just like a little bit of a love letter to everything that South by gives to filmmakers, and like something that would just show the hopes and dreams that you end up pinning on these chances to be able to show your work to other people. And yeah, it was a 5-minute piece. I liked it.
And thankfully that short didn't expand to 5 years of following on first time filmmakers, you know, seeing how they handled it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not yet.
Spoilers for your next
No, I mean,
documentary.
like that would be super meta. Like if you're going to make your second documentary about first time documentarians, like that might be a little bit, that's one too many layers. Like I'm not Christopher Nolan. So.
It's not your first rodeo. Back to dogs. I obviously read some interviews, so I didn't ask the same questions, but you did get a dog after you started doing all this. And
yeah, I did.
What kind of dog is it again?
He's a cattle dog. He's very cute.
It's not one that's probably going to be ever creatively groomed, I guess.
He can't even stay still when he sleeps, so it's too hard to pin him in one spot. No, and like for the women too, in Well Groomed, they really have dogs that like this, you know, like they kind of do like personality or like temperature checks. You know, does the dog like to get groomed? Are they willing to stand in one place for a long time? Is this a pleasant experience? And like my dog will, even training him to take a bath, it's like always a burden. He's not interested.
So thank you for spending time answering questions. I hope your life calms down enough after this, after it's released fully. And I hope people can start making films soon.
Yeah, I know. I'm like ready to get back out there. So.
Thank you.
Thanks. It was nice to meet you.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.